The Steelers take on the Ratbirds here in Week 11 in their first AFC North interdivision matchup of the 2024 season, in a matchup that I know Steelers fans, Ravens fans, and NFL fans across the world cannot wait to see at Acrisure Stadium on Sunday. Welcome into the Steelers Talk Preview. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and we are going to be going live for this Week 11 matchup starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the channel, where we're going to be giving you guys an hour-long pregame tailgate. Then we have the live play-by-play reacting to everything that happens in this football game this week, and then we have extensive post-game coverage as well after, hopefully, the Steelers improve to 8-2 on the 2024 season and cement themselves at the top of the AFC North standings. All right, guys, before we get into the content in the preview today, I have a little bit of an ask. If you're new to the channel and you haven't clicked that subscribe button yet, click that subscribe button today, because we are currently in a subscriber battle with our frenemies here at the Ravens Rundown and their new host, Joey Peterson. He's a little cocky, and he thinks he can take on Steelers Talk because he's had a hot start here with 46 new subs this week. And in fact, Joey Peterson came to my desk today, and he said he wanted to give a message to Steelers Nation. Here it is.
Remember me? Producer Joey? Yeah, well, I switched to the right side of this rivalry, and I cannot wait for the Baltimore Ravens to absolutely destroy Pittsburgh on Sunday. And oh yeah, all week long, Ravens Rundown is going to destroy Steelers Talk as well. I'm excited for you guys to actually get to watch a quarterback that has a little bit of aura to him instead of, Russell Wilson. Good luck with the season, and good luck on Sunday.
As you guys can see, Joey Peterson's feeling pretty good about himself, but I think that he's pretty new to this racket. He doesn't understand that the Steelers have beaten the Ravens the last 5 out of their last 6 matchups. So help us beat the Ravens on and off the field here by clicking that subscribe button. And new viewers, we are counting on you guys. The real ones that are already subscribed to this channel can't help us out in this battle. It's just new subscribers. So if you want to help us out right now, click that subscribe button for me right now and help us beat the Ravens. Okay, man, let's talk about this matchup, because first place in the AFC North will be on the line this weekend at Acrisure Stadium when the Ravens travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Of course, the Ravens sitting at 7-3, Steelers sitting at 7-2. Something's got to give here, man, and I cannot wait to see this matchup unfold on Sunday, man. And listen, man, like I said, winner takes first place in the AFC North. Now, it's certainly not the end of the battle, right? If the Steelers win, they do have a game-and-a-half advantage here over the Baltimore Ravens, so that would certainly be nice. But even if the Steelers lose this game, it's definitely far from over in terms of this fight. These two teams even play another time this season. So this is definitely going to be interesting to see here in this first matchup here. This might be the first of 3 matchups between these two teams, and I think that this is going to be one of the defining matchups of the 2024 season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's get into it here with what you guys can expect from the Baltimore Ravens schematically. John Harbaugh, Steelers know him well. He's the second longest tenured head coach in the NFL. The only one that he hasn't beaten in that regard is Mike Tomlin, who's 1 year his senior. He has a lifetime career head coaching record of 167 and 102. That is a crazy record for John Harbaugh right there with that many games. He has won a Super Bowl. The offensive scheme that they operate there in Baltimore is a modern pro spread offense run by offensive coordinator Todd Monken, who's done a fantastic job these last 2 years operating that offense with Lamar Jackson. Then on defense, they run an aggressive 3-4 with Zach Orr as their new defensive play caller, but that defense has not been nearly as good as it was last year with Mike McDonald as their DC. So the results so far for the Ratbirds. You take a look here, you take those 2 losses to start the season, including that weird one to the Raiders at home. Couple of weird losses, if I'm being honest. You lose to the Raiders at home, you lose to the Browns in Jameis Winston's first start with the Browns. And those are 2 games that obviously they should have won. So this is a team that can be on and off every once in a while. Every few weeks they have an off day. So could that be with the Pittsburgh Steelers this week? We will see. But they've beaten good teams like the Commanders, like the Bills. They stomped the Bills 35-10. So this is certainly a team that can beat good teams in the AFC. Take a look at the key injuries on this team heading into the week. Kyle Hamilton is questionable with an ankle. He is very important to their defensive scheme, particularly in the passing game. If he is not on the field, that's going to spell trouble for the Baltimore Ravens secondary. Isaiah Likely will be questionable. Did not play last week against the Bengals with a hamstring injury. And then Michael Pierce is on IR with a calf injury. You have really good run stuffer in the middle. Now you take a look at the key offensive pieces, and when it comes to just pure talent, the Baltimore Ravens offense is one of the most talented offenses in the National Football League. Lamar Jackson, a two-time league MVP. Derrick Henry having arguably the best season of his career, which is crazy right now. Zay Flowers is a legit number one receiver, in my opinion, route runner extraordinaire. And then you got kind of another kind of similar route runner type in Deontay Johnson that they traded for just a couple weeks ago. Rashad Bateman is kind of their bigger receiver weapon. Isaiah Likely may or may not play, but he's very talented from the tight end spot. Mark Andrews is still a very good player. And then Justice Hill, as a third down running back, has been very effective for them as a pass catcher out of the backfield. And when you look at the team trends here for the Ravens offense, it's very easy to see that this is the best offense in football right now. All right, first in scoring offense, first in yards per play, so their efficiency is off the charts. First in red zone percentage. Man, this team can just run it down your throat, and they can score in the red zone. They don't turn the ball over either. Super good offense for the Baltimore Ravens. But the Steelers' defense is also very good. Top 2 in points per game allowed here in scoring defense, right? And then the red zone defense is very, very good as well. So something's going to have to give here with this really high-flying matchup between the Ravens offense and the Steelers defense. If you believe the points per game trends here, the Ravens are scoring just about 32 points per game, and the Steelers are giving up 16.2 points per game. So you look at the trends here, and it would predict that the Ravens would score 24 points on the road in Pittsburgh in this football game. But obviously, that's pretty much just the law of averages there, and we'll see how much the Ravens actually end up scoring on Sunday. Take a look at the defensive side of the ball for Baltimore. Kyle Hamilton, I think, is their best defensive player. If he's not on the field, that's going to be really, really bad for this Baltimore Ravens defense. Let's just put it that way. Marlon Humphrey is a good press man corner on the outside. Justin Madubuike, who they just signed this offseason at defensive tackle, had a really good game against the Cincinnati Bengals, even though he's had kind of an off year. Odafe Owe and Kyle Van Noy, a good edge rusher duo, and then Nate Wiggins, the highly drafted rookie out of Clemson. The Steelers took a hard look at him. He is a speedster when he is in the game. So you look at the team trends here, and we'll look at the Steelers offense with Russ here because I think that's more relevant than looking at the numbers with Justin Fields as well. And when you look at the Steelers numbers with Russ, they're third in points per game, so this is a high-flying Steelers offense with Russ on the field. They throw the ball down the field. They're very efficient in terms of running the football. And you look at the Ravens defense, I mean, I think this is going to surprise a lot of people just how bad the Baltimore Ravens defense is this year. They give up a ton of first downs on third downs. They give up a lot of points and a lot of yards. All right, and the efficiency isn't very good either. So I look at this matchup here, and I think that, the trends would certainly predict a higher scoring kind of affair here, and the trends would predict 27 points for the Steelers. So if you've been keeping up here, that means the trends would predict a 27-24 victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers at home this weekend. So that's kind of crazy here because if you listen to all the people in the national media, a lot of people still say the Baltimore Ravens are the better team, but at least on paper right now, the trends would certainly point to the Steelers being the slightly better team at this point in the season. So still to come. Let me know. It's still to come here on the Steelers Talk Preview. Keys to victory versus the Ravens. I got 5 of them for you today. Also, Lamar Jackson scouting report, and we'll break down his career numbers against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Spoiler alert, they're not very good. And then we'll go over my Week 11 score prediction at the end of today's show. So make sure you stick around for all that great stuff. But before we get into the rest of today's Steelers Talk Preview, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics, where if you guys want a brand new Russell Wilson jersey, and you think Russ is going to be the quarterback here in Pittsburgh for at least the next couple of seasons, invest in his jersey right now by going to chatsports.com/Russ to pick up a brand new Russell Wilson Steelers jersey today. We've already raffled a couple of these babies off on the Steelers Talk watch parties. If you don't want to wait around, you want to get this jersey in your closet today, plus you want to help out the channel, when you use our link, chatsports.com/Russ, and you make a purchase, Fanatics sends us part of the proceeds. So if you're already planning on getting a Russell Wilson jersey, go ahead and get it from Fanatics today to help out the channel, and make sure you use our link, chatsports.com/Russ, to get the job done. So before we get into my team-specific keys to victory here, I figured, I've been putting a lot of the same stuff in the keys to victory as of late, so I've come up with 6 weekly keys for the Pittsburgh Steelers that the Steelers need to do in order to win football games consistently, okay? And here are the 6 weekly keys to victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Doesn't matter who you're playing, the Steelers need to do these 6 things consistently in order to be a consistent football team. You got to win the line of scrimmage. You got to win on 3rd and 4th downs, or as Mike Tomlin would call it, the weighty downs. You got to win in the red zone. You got to win the turnover battle. You don't beat yourself with stupid penalties and turnovers, and you make the play in the 4th quarter to either seal the deal or to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Okay, so now, with those out of the way, let's go on to the specific team keys for beating Baltimore, okay? Because there's some very interesting ways I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be able to potentially be victorious in this football game. So the first one here, let's talk about Lamar Jackson. And we talked about it last week with Jaden Daniels. Now we'll talk about it with Lamar Jackson. You got to keep him in the bucket. What does the bucket mean? You do not want that bucket to leak. You do not want Lamar Jackson to escape the pocket and beat you with his legs, because he is the most dynamic rusher of the football at this position in the game, with maybe the one exception being Justin Fields, and Jaden Daniels is certainly slightly behind him. But Lamar, his change of direction as a rusher and his agility and his 0 to 60 is just insane for a quarterback, all right? You just have to be able to corral him, to keep him in the pocket, and force him to beat you as a passer. But even as a passer, he's got great arm talent. He can throw with touch and accuracy. He's got super clean and smooth throwing mechanics. His mental processing is better than people give him credit for, and his playmaking outside of the pocket as a passer is also very underrated. And also his pocket presence as well. He can feel pressure at a very good rate, and he can escape pressure or escape the pocket when needed to make big plays. The cons are very hard to find with this game. It's just things here or there. Maybe I wish he had a slightly better mental processing. Maybe I wish he had a slightly stronger arm, all these different things. But most of all, man, it's just a really complete player, which makes him a truly elite NFL quarterback. But remember, Lamar Jackson, his kryptonite throughout his career has been one Mike Tomlin. When he plays Mike Tomlin defenses, he goes from an elite MVP caliber quarterback to somebody that definitely does not resemble that type of guy. You look at his numbers here versus Mike Tomlin in the games that he has started and finished against the Pittsburgh Steelers. 58.7% completion percentage. That is way below his NFL career average. In the yards per game, just 214.5. With as much as he's passed the football in these games, that's not very much per attempt. And then you look at the touchdown to interception ratio, not good at all. Just 4 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. And you take a look at the perimeter matchup here between the Ravens wide receivers and the Steelers cornerbacks, Zay Flowers, Deontay Johnson, and Rashad Bateman. And right now the Steelers have the challenge here to fit the right puzzle pieces with the right receivers. Because honestly, I'm not sure Joey Porter Jr. is the type of corner that's really good at handling kind of smaller, shiftier route runners like Zay Flowers or Deontay Johnson. But those are going to be their 2 top receiving weapons. So this is honestly a good matchup for Baltimore, but I really do think that Mike Tomlin does a good job of getting Lamar off his spot, making him speed up his internal clock, and just as we saw with Jaden Daniels last year, decline his accuracy rate quite significantly with the blitzes that he sends. But along with these receivers, the Steelers need to lock up the tight ends. If Isaiah Likely plays, they're going to have to really do a good job covering him up, whether that's Patrick Queen, whether that's strong safety Deshaun Elliott, whether that's free safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. They need to find a way to cover up these tight ends because Baltimore will go to 12 and 13 personnel quite a bit, which means 2 and 3 wide or tight end sets. So the Steelers better be ready to go. And, if I'm being honest with you guys, all right, we talked about Lamar a lot on this show. He is not who I'm worried about in this Ravens offense, okay? Because the element that the Steelers have not seen in this Ravens offense in years past is one King Henry. And you got to contain him if you want to win this football game. You cannot let Derrick Henry run all over you if you want to win here in Week 11 or when they play later this season. Plain and simply. Take a look at King Henry's numbers this year. He's arguably having the best season of his career. You can make an argument for MVP for this guy, man. He's almost eclipsed his total yard number from Tennessee last year. Already this year, it's Week 11. That's how good this guy is right now. He's averaging over 6 yards per carry. He's got over 110 yards per game and 12 touchdowns. So he is by far and away the most productive running back in the National Football League. Now, the Steelers have done a pretty good job in general of bottling up opposing teams' rushing attacks. Right now, they're 4th in yards per carry allowed, but as we saw in certain spurts, the first thing that comes to mind here is the Dallas Cowboys game. The Steelers defense has had spurts here where an opposing offense can take advantage of the Steelers' run defense. That can't happen in this game if the Steelers want to come away victorious. And the way that you mitigate the run game, all these different things, the multiple tight end sets that the Ravens are going to put out there, you got to put out base personnel. What that means, 5 down linemen, 2 linebackers, 2 safeties, and then 2 cornerbacks is what the Steelers would have in their base personnel in their 3-4 defense. Okay, so 2 outside linebackers, 3 down linemen, 2 inside linebackers, 2 safeties, and 2 cornerbacks is what to expect from the Pittsburgh Steelers pretty much the entire game on defense on Sunday. Not a whole lot of nickel from them. Okay, now we get to, I think, the big X factor on defense for the Steelers this week, and that's going to be T.J. Watt. He's got to take advantage of his matchup against rookie right tackle Roger Rosengarten, who's coming out of Washington. He was Troy Fautano's teammate. And he is undersized, all right? He can move well, but he's going to be susceptible to power. And T.J. Watt, I think, is going to eat this kid for breakfast if they leave him one-on-one. Also, Daniel Failele, their right guard, isn't all that good either, so look for Larry Ogunjobi to potentially have a good game as well. I would say the left side of this offensive line for Baltimore is better than their right side. Staley, McCarry, and Linderbaum are all established pros, so I'm definitely looking at T.J. Watt to being the X factor to get to Lamar Jackson and put him on the ground. Okay, now we get to the offensive side of the ball for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they need to win through the air, okay, plain and simply. This is a game where Russ is really going to have to show his true colors as the Steelers quarterback this season because the Baltimore Ravens are actually pretty darn good at stopping the run. They're only allowing 3.4 yards per carry this year, which is tops in the National Football League. Now, you guys have seen their defensive numbers. Overall, they're not that good because they have a terrible pass defense. So Russell Wilson, with George Pickens, with Mike Williams, with Calvin Austin III, with Van Jefferson, with Pat Freiermuth, with the running backs that can catch the football. You got to let Russ cook in this football game. Now, that doesn't mean completely abandon your identity in the run game. You still get it to Najee Harris. You still get it to Jaylen Warren. You still run the football, but you really have to prioritize beating this team through the air as well. And really, I think Mike Williams is going to be a big X factor on offense in this football game because you take a look at the perimeter matchups here on this side of the ball. Marlon Humphrey is a really good number 1 corner. He's going to be going up against George Pickens. Don't love that matchup for GP, but I like the Mike Williams versus Brandon Stevens matchup a hell of a lot more. So I think Big Mike could be in for a really, really big homecoming here in Acrisure Stadium in his first Steelers home game as a member of this football team. I think Nate Wiggins is actually a really good matchup for Calvin Austin III because of Nate's speed. He ran in the 4.3s at the combine. He's a speedster, man, big time. So honestly, I think that Baltimore matches up quite well with the Steelers on offense. So even though their defense isn't very good overall, I think that they actually have pretty favorable matchups here, and I think the Steelers will definitely have to work for it if they want to win this football game. Then the final thing here that's a key to victory for Pittsburgh is you have to want it more than them. All right, a lot of this football game is going to be trench warfare. It's going to be the Steelers offensive line versus the Ravens defensive line, and it'll be the Ravens O-line versus the Steelers D-line. Whoever wins the line of scrimmage in this football game, guys, is probably going to come away victorious in my opinion, all right? And as far as who I think wins that line of scrimmage battle and who I think comes out on top, give me Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers to continue their success over the Baltimore Ravens. I think it's going to be closer than people think, and I actually think it's going to be lower scoring than people think. I'm going to give the Steelers the win here, 23-20. Maybe a Chris Boswell game-winning field goal. Maybe it's a defensive stop from T.J. Watt. I don't know how this game is going to finish, but I feel like 23-20 is going to be the final result, and the Steelers will improve to 8-2. So it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comments section. Predict a score of Steelers versus Ravens down there in the comments section. I got 23-20 this week. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. Appreciate your guys' support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We do in-depth previews like this for every single Steelers game every single week to go along with our other free and informative Steelers content every single day here on Steelers Talk. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already for a daily dose of Steelers news and rumors.